So welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Today, our mission is to explore something that really redefines the idea of a difficult journey. We're looking into the 1598 expedition of Juan de Oñate into New Mexico.
Yeah, it's quite the story.
It really is. And we've got some great sources today, historical overviews, municipal archives from the city of Española, and some detailed demographic histories. Our goal is to unpack just the staggering logistics of this journey.
And the cultural collision it caused, right, because it was massive.
Exactly. And the really harsh realities of this early colonization, because, when you think about a major move today, like across the country.
Right, you run a moving truck.
Yeah, you pack some boxes, you drive down the highway, and you pull up to a house that's already built. The neighborhood is already there. You just plug in your TV and you're good.
You're just slotting yourself into an existing framework.
Right. But imagine attempting to physically transplant an entire fully functioning society into the unknown and then just dropping it directly on top of another existing civilization.
It's almost unimaginable for us today.
It really is. So, okay, let's unpack this. Who was Oñate and why was he doing this?
Well, looking at the historical overviews, Juan de Oñate was born in Zacatecas. That was a big mining region in New Spain, which is modern-day Mexico.
Okay, so he's already a local to the continent.
Right. And he came from this really complex background. His father was a Spanish Basque, and his mother was actually descended from conversos.
Wait, conversos, like Jews who had converted to Christianity.
Exactly. So he's already got this layered, complex identity long before he heads north. But in 1595, the Spanish crown picks him to organize this new territory.
And the crown had like a dual motive for this, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Sure.
On one hand, you have the classic secular motives. They want gold and they want indigenous slaves for labor. But on the other hand, there's this intense theological mandate.
To set up Catholic missions.
Right. They wanted to convert the local populations. And in the Spanish mindset at that time, those two goals, getting rich and saving souls, they were totally inseparable.
Wow. But before they can do any of that, they actually have to get there. Which brings us to the logistics, and this is where it gets crazy.
Oh, the logistics are wild.
So the caravan gathers in Compostela, Mexico in January of 1598. But the primary sources, they actually conflict on who is even there.
Yeah, the records are really messy. One account says there were 200 soldier colonists and 9 Franciscan priests.
But then another source we have says it was 129 soldiers plus their families and 15 Franciscans. It's like trying to get an accurate head count at a massive, chaotic music festival.
That's a great way to put it. And it changes everything about how we view the trip. 129 soldiers with spouses, kids, and servants. That's a sprawling civilian migration.
And regardless of whether it was 9 or 15 priests, how do you even manage the logistics of the animals they brought?
Oh, the inventory is staggering.
Yeah, let me just look at these numbers from the municipal archives. 83 wagons, about 1,500 horses and mules, and then 7,000 head of livestock.
7,000.
Yeah, including 300 black cattle, 1,000 goats just for mutton, and all these breeding mares. How do you keep 7,000 roaming animals alive on an unexplored, arid trail?
What's fascinating here is that this wasn't just an exploration. It was a mobile, self-sustaining ecosystem. You're trying to move 7,000 animals across a desert.
They must have just stripped the land bare as they walked.
Exactly. You can't just march in a straight line. You have to move based on where the water and the grass are. It forces you to move at a painfully slow crawl, spreading out over miles.
And the noise. And the dust.
Oh, it had to be completely overwhelming. But they did make it, eventually pausing for a day of Thanksgiving at present-day El Paso del Norte in April of 1598.
And we only know all these day-to-day details because of Gaspar Perez de Villagra, right?
Yes, New Mexico's first historian. He published his book, Historia de Nuevo Mexico, in 1610.
So he basically wrote the official Spanish PR record of the journey.
Pretty much. But the physical journey is really only part one. The story totally shifts when they actually cross into the territory and start legally claiming it.
Right, because they arrive on July 11th, 1598, at a village called Oque-Oinga. This is where the Rio Grande and the Chama rivers meet. And there are already people living there.
Descendants of the Anasazi, yeah.
So the Spanish show up, immediately rename the place San Juan de los Caballeros, and just claim 90,000 square miles for Spain.
Just like that. Ignored the locals entirely.
Then Oñate calls a meeting with leaders from 30 different pueblos, And he makes them do this thing called the act of obedience and vassalage.
Which is such a wild bureaucratic performance.
Totally. He demands they swear allegiance to the Pope and to the Spanish king, who he calls the sole defender of the church.
And if they don't agree.
Oh, he warns them that rejecting baptism means physical punishment from the Spanish army right now, and then eternal torment in hell later.
A pretty heavy ultimatum.
So what does this all mean? I mean, Oñate is reading legal and theological decrees to people who don't even speak his language. It's like showing up at someone's house with a real estate contract written in Klingon.
Right, and taking their confused nod as a signature.
Yes, and then claiming you own the place. Did the Pueblos even understand what was happening?
This raises an important question about how these interactions actually worked. Because the Spanish did use interpreters, but often for completely the wrong dialects.
Oh no, so it was just a game of telephone.
Basically, a scribe would hear a native name translated badly and then write it down phonetically in Spanish.
Yeah.
So they ended up with multiple names for the exact same village.
Just made it look like they conquered way more places than they actually did.
Exactly. But to the Spanish, it didn't matter if the Pueblos understood. They believed in this concept called the right of discovery.
So just by showing up and offering them Christianity, they felt they had the moral right to take over.
Yeah, they felt that gave them absolute authority. But obviously, claiming land on paper is one thing. Actually building a capital on top of another civilization is another.
And this is where the municipal archives get really dark, because the Spanish ordered the villagers of San Juan to just evacuate their homes immediately.
Just get out.
Yeah, and they had to leave their personal belongings behind for the colonists to use. The native people were forced to move across the river to the east bank of the Rio Grande.
While the Spanish took the west bank and renamed it San Gabriel.
And then here's where it gets really interesting, or tragic, really. The indigenous people are basically evicted, stripped of their stuff, and then Oñate conscripts 1,500 Pueblo laborers to work for him.
Forced labor to build the new Spanish town.
Right. They made them build a church and this massive irrigation ditch called an acequia, which is actually considered the oldest in the U.S.
Yeah, it pulled water from the river straight to the town.
So they are evicted and then forced to renovate their own neighborhood for their new landlords. How could the Spanish maintain this level of control?
Well, they divided the territory into 7 ecclesiastical districts, right? And they appointed native governors as liaisons?
Like figureheads.
Exactly. They were just puppets. The Spanish systematically dismantled the local culture. If an Indian missed Catholic Mass or practiced a native ceremony, they were strictly punished.
Wow. So they tried to completely replace the culture from the top down.
Right. By undermining the Pueblo religious leaders, they tried to erase the social glue that held those communities together.
And all of this was driven by the encomienda system, right? Where the colonists could demand tribute from the indigenous people.
Yeah, essentially an imperial protection racket. You give us your food and labor, and we won't kill you.
Which brings us to a massive breaking point, because you can only push people so far. As winter comes, the Spanish decide they need more food, so they march up to Acoma Pueblo to demand their winter rations.
But the Acoma refuse. I mean, they needed that stored food to survive the winter themselves.
Right. Giving it up meant starvation. So this turns into a huge, violent standoff, and 11 Spaniards end up getting killed.
And Oñate's response to that was absolute devastation.
He ordered the entire Acoma Pueblo to be destroyed. But wait, I have a question about this.
Sure.
Earlier, we noted that the Spanish brought 7,000 head of livestock with them. They had 1,000 goats just for mutton.
Yeah, a walking grocery store.
Exactly. So if they had all that meat, why are they demanding winter survival rations from the Acoma to the point of a violent standoff? Why target the Acoma's food at all?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes total sense. This demand wasn't actually about the Spanish starving. It was about enforcing the colonial system of tribute.
Ah, so it was a power play.
Completely.
Yeah.
The Spanish viewed the indigenous people as vassals, and vassals have to provide tribute when the crown demands it. If they let Acoma say no, the whole system of authority collapses.
So the slaughter at Acoma was just a brutal way to show everyone else what happens if you don't comply.
Exactly. It was a message. But that kind of oppressive rule, demanding food, forced labor, cultural erasure, it all builds up.
It definitely does. And our sources foreshadow that this eventually blows up in their faces, because there was this terrible silver mine cave-in that killed a lot of enslaved natives.
Which was the last straw for a lot of people.
Right. And it led directly to the massive Pueblo revolt in 1680. And the crazy part, The San Juan Indians, the ones who were evicted on day one, they helped organize the whole thing.
Full circle. And they actually kicked the Spanish out of New Mexico for over a decade.
Until Diego de Vargas resettled the area in 1695, but still, they fought back and won for 12 years.
It's an incredible piece of history.
So, to quickly recap our deep dive today, Oñate's 1598 expedition was this unbelievable logistical feat that brought massive agricultural changes, like the acequias, to New Mexico.
But it was entirely built on forced displacement.
Yeah, cultural erasure and just horrific violence against the Pueblo peoples.
It really makes you think about how we remember history, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, think about the concept of historical memory. We have the exact written accounts from Gaspar Pérez de Villagra, right? The Spanish historian.
Right, the guy who wrote the book in 1610.
Yeah. His book preserved the Spanish perspective, their exact numbers, their heroics, for 4 centuries. But what if we could read an epic poem written from the perspective of one of those 1,500 Pueblo laborers?
Oh, wow. The ones forced to dig that first ditch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How much does the medium of recording history, who has the pen and the printing press, dictate who gets to be the hero? And who gets relegated to the margins for the next 400 years?
That's a really powerful point. Something for you all to mull over as you think about the sources we trust today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.